For another evening, for another Monday night. Roy, look, I'm excited. I've been incredibly excited all weekend. It's been a marvellous weekend. If I could be so bold to say right at the top of the show, it's been an absolute ball terror of a weekend. I gave a left nut to Australia this weekend.
Did you really?
Tremendous. I was so excited. I got so bloody excited, I just barely calmed
just tore it off.
Just tore it off and threw it.
Threw it at the crowd.
That's right, and said, eat that. Now, Roy, I know you've been excited.
I wasn't quite that excited, but I was very excited.
Yes?
Very excited.
Yes.
Melbourne yesterday.
Yeah.
The Federation Parade. I mean, Australia Day, that was good. But let's have a look at Federation, the parade in Melbourne. Look at this.
Where does it start?
Common coach.
Wow.
That's how it was 100 years ago. Sure, it was slow. Sure, the mail didn't get through very often. Sure, people didn't get very far. But it was exciting with the Sir Henry Parkes lookalike out the front there, looking very, very sombre. Yes, isn't that tremendous?
And here's a funeral.
Yes, a reenactment of what a funeral is like.
That's right. Now,
100 years ago, people were dying.
Were they right?
They were.
And how did they bury him in those days? They just got a lot of people to walk down the street to the cemetery and hurl him in. I think it might have been called Boot Hill in those days.
Boot Hill, yes.
Now, Roy,
Magic.
You and I declared last week there was nothing to get the kiddies involved in Federation. We stand corrected. From Peter Freeman comes an email concerning a kit you can get involving kids, anybody under the age of about 4 in Federation. You've got something here you want to show us, Roy. It's a bit of a colouring-in book.
Federation fun. Yeah. Now, actually, look, for example, disco Federation style. That's for the kids to get
What were the great hits they would have played there?
Well, I don't know.
Roll out the barrel?
Roll out the barrel, that sort of thing. You've got here, actually, Join the Dots, which I always enjoyed as a kiddie. And it's not Sir Henry Parkes you're doing here, but Pat Farmer, who's running all around Australia, apparently, again, and there's his route. For Federation. So this is really going to get the kids in.
It really will.
And you get your funny Federation pen.
Look what I've got here. I've got something here. You've got a sort of pen here. I don't know whether we can demonstrate this. Might have to go here. Yeah. And you take this out, and if I can do this right...
Good luck.
Hey! You blow bubbles. Look at that. Well, that is incredible, Roy.
It doesn't get better than that, does it?
No. I wish we added the celebration of Federation every year.
Yeah.
You know, if you get this sort of top-quality gear, that is really good.
Fantastic. Because there's a little head of Sir Henry Parkes in every bubble.
Is that right?
Apparently.
Now, Roy...
and the tie, of course.
Oh, the tie. I wonder if we can get a close-up of the tie. I'm not quite sure where we go. Look, that weird logo.
Yeah, I know. It says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Not much happened.
That's right. Not much happened then, not much happening now. Now, Roy, accept the celebration. Obviously, highlights of this weekend, we have to deal with last night for, obviously, rugby league supporters. There was a magnificent... And can I just say this, that if Melbourne was, you know, off its trolley yesterday morning, last night, Queensland went absolutely berserk when the Maroons brought it home.
They did, didn't they?
Yes, we've got some pictures here of happy Maroon rugby league players. Let's go to them now. Here's a try. I think Walker going under the black dot there. He gets excited. The bench gets excited. Big girl already gets involved and goes in the back door there. Leaps over the top. There's the finger up there like that. And here we see, I think, a lone man in a moment as these celebrations continue here. As we go now, chopping close. Buddy there, and obviously John Doyle there. You've got a try, I think, himself in the match.
He did.
And then we come to this magnificent picture of only one person in Lang Park not out there celebrating. Oh, no, it's more Maroons. Here he is. A bloke wondering why the hell he bothers. And then it goes back to more delirious scenes there of happy Queenslanders. And so then, of course, we had Melbourne satisfied with the parade, Brisbane satisfied along the eastern coast. It leaves Sydney, but Sydney is not forgotten either because, Roy, Fashion Week.
Fashion Week.
The greatest fashion week in the world. Sure, you can have your London, Paris, New York. I don't know where you care where you go. You can go to Bolivia if you want to. Hello, Bolivia. You can go anywhere you bloody well like, but you won't find a better fashion week than the one here in Australia. The dollar, it makes our gear virtually free. People are swanning into Australia, picking up bus loads, whole trolley loads, and taking it back home and flogging it off for a fortune. Roy, you've been down at Fashion Week today. Let's have a look at your report now. What have you got for us?
Oh, actually, it's been so exciting. Look at this look here. I mean, it looks plain, it looks simple, but it's not. It's all said with pearls. You just look at the pearls. And look at this look, actually. It's coy. You know, it says, you know, if I've got some snot, I know where it's going to go. It's a beautiful, beautiful look. And this is a I think this is a little bit unsightly. I don't know where to look.
Yes, no. I'm not sure what I'm looking at there, Roy.
It's something special for Federation.
Is that right? Usually, as I point out too often, fashion is about what happens after it comes off, but that person there had it all off before she got out there.
That's right. And isn't that a look, actually? Isn't that a look?
Come to, I think this is a bather manufacturer, a swimsuit manufacturer, and here...
Tiger Lily!
Yes, now this is Tug of the Taipan, in town from the FNQ land. Isn't that tremendous?
Isn't that a look?
Is that what...
Can't that take off?
Will people be wearing that?
Of course people will be wearing that all over the world.
Yes.
You know, where do I sit? Show me the menu.
That's right.
I'm here. What can you give him a snake?
Yes, that's right.
Well, actually, it's been a marvellous showcase, isn't it? I mean, you can have your, you know, Bastille Day, your, you know, 4th of July in America, but Federation and fashion and rugby league, you know, the world is saying, hey, Australia, what's going on down there?
Yes, it certainly is.
It's going through the roof.
Oh, it is, it is. And when you combine, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, a snake in the trouser, so to speak, but when you combine that look with getting the snake out of the trouser and up round the shoulders, I mean, imagine walking into a restaurant tonight and saying, have you met my friend here, you know, Tugger? You know, imagine the statement that's making, Roy.
Oh, it's marvellous.
You're there, Sydney, Australia,
I know.
It can't get any better, can it?
It doesn't get any better at all, HG, and, you know, I'm impressed with our young designers.
Are you right?
They're taking on inspiration from everywhere. You know, I noticed a couple of the kiddies were taking on inspiration, say, from your Japanese woodcuts.
Is that right, Roy?
Others from your German woodcuts, you know, your Oscar Kokoschka sort of bleak gear, which looks very bleak, that sort of realism that he went on with.
Just black and grey.
Just black and grey with a spot of colour just to bring it alive, and maybe a snake around your neck, or a redback spider, or a funnel web in the trouser, something like that that says it's Australia. I mean, I just think it's great, and I think I take my hat off to these kids. They're just doing a marvellous bloody job.
Oh, Lloyd. And tonight, the internet poll that you can obviously get involved with refers to Fashion Week.
Yes,
and Roy, take us through it.
OK, the poll is as follows, HG. Australian Fashion Week, A, makes us as proud as punch. B, is a magnet for international glamour. C, gets the blood hot in the trouser. Or D, is a major embarrassment.
Yes.
So A, B, C or D, the Monday dump.i7.com.au.
And we'll be feeding the results of the internet poll straight into Fashion Week at the end of the show, and I'm sure they'll be taken on board and analysed by future generations of designers. It's tremendous.
Because we're going to be on the catwalk tomorrow night.
Are we going on the catwalk tomorrow?
Bloody
what have
hope
you got planned? What have you got? What'll be in your trouser, Roy? The bloody big scorpion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm not sure where I'm going to get it from. I think it might be a wind-up scorpion, so I don't scare the kiddies.
I thought I might open up with a tortoise head. It's now.
Yeah.
It's coming at you.
Yes, look out.
It's look out.
I'm not on fire, but I might as well be. Anyway, well, there'll be more dump right after this. Get to the hole. Yes, and now can you welcome the fastest man in the world, the winner of the gold medal for the 100 metres in the Sydney Olympic, Mr. Maurice Greene. Thank you very much. Maurice, let's go to the Sydney Olympics and have a look at you winning the 100 metres. Here's Bruce McAvaney's call. You may not have heard Bruce call the race before. I think Australia's only heard it 3,000 times.
Greene, good start. Bolden got a terrific start out wide. Greene accelerates. Behind him, Chambers, and then Thompson. Greene and Bolden. It's not going to be much in it. Greene's got him now and moves away and runs 9.88. Confirms his greatness like Marion Jones.
Were you at all worried there that Addo might get you?
I was a little bit worried, but I knew I had it under control.
And I understand that you sometimes try and see who can qualify in the slowest time to get into the final.
Yes, we did that early in the rounds.
And he tries not to run in the lane next to you, I take it, or you try and not run in the lane side by side?
Sometimes, but, you know, it happens to be like that sometimes, so.
Now, when you look back at the, you know, the 100 metres running there, do you spot mistakes? Do you see what you should be doing better?
Yeah, all the time.
And in that one, what would you like to comment about it?
Well, I should have had a better start than that, and my transition wasn't as good as it needed to be.
Right.
In order for me to run faster.
Probably right.
When Addo was on the show. I know Roy was very
Did you see some?
Very slow. Slow reaction. I mean, can you train for that? I mean, we used to train for that. You know, you you know, you'd have someone with a shotgun beside us. Kaboom, and off you'd go. Kaboom, and off you'd go. I mean, do you do a lot of that sort of starting practice? Just starts? We're going to spend the week on starts.
No, not a week.
1,200 starts today, 1,300 tomorrow, 1,400 the next, and by the end of the week, bloody hell, you're starting.
You'd be tired.
Yeah, well, of course you're tired.
I don't think you can start at the end of the week if you're doing that many.
Oh, no, then you have to have the weekend off, obviously.
You tape it.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, the rules, the IAAF, that's International Athletics Federation, they're thinking of changing the rules to allow only one false start. Now, I think the runners feel as though this means that no one's going to ever break another record because you'll be more cautious than really hurling yourself out of the blocks and off. Is that fair?
I'm not going to say I wouldn't break the world record if I had only one start, but it's just going to allow more people to get put out of the race, basically.
Yes. And is it important to have the other 7 lanes filled to break records?
It is important, but not so important that you don't have to, but it would help a lot.
Now, the starter. Is there a regulation thing for the starter to do, or is the starter allowed to sort of fiddle around by himself so he can go, get set, ready, get set, bang! Or can he go, get ready, set, bang!
That's kind of long. Normally, he's supposed to wait until every person is set and then fire the gun.
Right. I remember we used to get Roy winning a lot of runs out Lithgow way, but with varying the starts. Often I used to be helping in the starting, and often I'd hold them there for half an hour, and Roy'd be watching the clock, and then when the half hour was up, off he'd shoot, and bang, the gun would go off. I mean, do you feel as though that is something where you think, oh no, Freddie's starting today and he's a terrible starter? Or, you know, Martha's starting today and that's great?
No, I actually don't know who's starting the race until a couple of races before, but I try to pay attention to the starter and get a rhythm for him.
Yes. I'd like to remove the starter completely and have it mechanised.
Yes.
So there's a series of lights. Let's
Like
say,
a drag racing.
Yes, red, amber, green. Off you go. Off you go.
But the way we start, we don't look up.
It could be
Yes, but it could be on the ground.
So you want it on the ground.
Yes, that's right. You've got to step over the line.
Some people's eyes are closed, though.
Some of them got their eyes closed.
Yeah.
Well, you've just got to sense when the others are going, and then.
How about you start yourselves? You know, get down on the blocks there and say, you're ready? Ready, go!
Yes.
I would like that idea.
Yes.
As long as I'm the one that's saying, ready, go.
Yes. Or with the lights, you have a starter just reading out what's up there. Red, 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 amber now, amber, amber, green! Wouldn't that even it up?
I don't think so. I think more people will false start there.
Would they?
Yes.
Okay.
Because people in the crowd will be yelling out green, and then you go.
Ah, you forget that.
Yes,
You forget that. So it'd have to be someone with a peculiar voice, wouldn't it? Or a megaphone.
I'm pitched red, yeah,
Wayne Newton.
That's right, that's right.
Barry Gibb.
Barry Gibb. Now, with the Goodwill Games, this is a competition based on only the top 8 athletes at that time who want to coming to Brisbane in September and running for money. Now, do you know who will be coming apart from Addo Bolden? Do you know who else will come?
I don't know. I don't think they want to show up.
Oh, right, so it might be just a two
It just
people.
might be us too.
But Matt Shervington will be there, won't he?
Yeah, he should be there.
Now...
So it'll be us 3 then.
It's 3, yes. Now, there was talk of Matt being part of your HSI group.
Who was talking?
I was talking to Matt the other day, and he thought it was a terrific idea. And he felt that it was a possibility that he could join your group. But you don't think that's going to happen now?
He hasn't talked to us.
Hasn't he?
No.
Well, he said to mention it on his behalf. That he was very interested in being
you're not
part...
supposed to be telling me something.
Right. Well, if Matt was to come up during the games and say, listen, I wouldn't mind training with you blokes, would you be interested in having someone like Matt train with you?
It would be interesting, but, you know, it can't just go by me. We have to ask the whole group.
And who else would be involved? Addo? Who else?
Otto, John Drummond, Inger Miller, Larry
Yes.
Wade, my coach John Smith, my
Yes.
manager Emmanuel Hudson. The
Yes.
whole group has to
Well,
be
it's only
involved.
6. It's not going to be hard to get 6 together, and you're on
no,
board.
but we
Addo's
have,
on board.
we have
you
a lot
can
of
talk
more
your
people
manager
there.
over. It's not a problem. He could be training with you blokes
He could.
next week.
He's in Europe right now. I heard he just sold everything and
Yes,
went
that's
to
right. He's
Europe.
gone to Europe. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. But it's, you know, the world's a small place these days. He could zap over and start training with you. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
It would be good. He'll be a lot better.
Yeah. And I think you blokes would be a lot better because his starts are terrific. What happens after then is not so good, but the starts are fabulous.
Now, you've been to Australia many times in the recent years with, obviously, the Sydney Olympics and preparing for it. Are there things in Australia, and I should preface this question, when John Drummond came on the show, his big things that he liked about Australia were Tim Tam biscuits and paddle pops. And is there anything like that that's caught your eye?
No, I can't really say. I mean, I like everything about Australia. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. The last times I've been here, I've just had a ball.
And I noticed in the press that you come often because you're allowed to take pictures of things with, you know, obviously cameras and so on. And I was just wondering what happy snaps you've got of Australia. What sort of things have you taken pictures of in Australia?
This time I have a picture with a model.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Somebody who might appear in Fashion Week?
Maybe.
A snake?
Maybe.
You've done a bit of modelling yourself, I think.
Yeah, I have.
Maurice. Yes. Is it hard?
I wanted to model in Fashion Week, but they told me no.
Yes. Is it hard?
Yeah, they said.
Too good. Yeah,
No, I wasn't good enough.
They say it's a nightmare. It's so hard. Do you find it hard? I mean, I didn't find it hard. You just walk down a catwalk.
It wasn't hard for me.
It's damn easy. It's much bloody easier than running.
How quick can you get out and back? Can you get out and back in about 3 seconds?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Look, we read a disturbing report last week that suggested that the members of the American Olympic team were being asked to tone down the way they react to victory. Now, we love the way you react to victory. Has anyone spoken to you about it, Maurice?
I've heard about it, but they haven't, you know, necessarily called me or anything on it.
Right. You'd be expecting a call, though, wouldn't you?
If they want to call, they can call. They know where to find me.
Right. And what would you say to them if they did say, well, listen, we think we'd prefer you not be as exuberant with your victory? What would you say to them?
I'll ask them, have they ever won a gold medal before first?
Yes.
What a good...
That's a great... And they'll probably say, no.
If you haven't won a gold medal, you can't talk to me about it because you don't know the feeling that you have after you do it.
Right. But should you win when the games are on in a few months' time here, how will you react? Will
Who knows what's going to happen?
Exuberance again? Will it be?
I'm sure I'll be excited.
Would you go for a world record at the Goodwill Games, or do you go for the win there because it's slightly different? The rules of competition are slightly different.
I'm going for the world record every time I step on the track. Right. But most of all, I have to win.
Yes, yes. On that sobering note, can we ask first up, can you maybe take as a souvenir of Australia this magnificent flying dunny, the emblem of the show here, and I'd like to think that at the Goodwill Games, it's not very heavy. I'd love to see that on the front of the shorts. And when you finish, you may be able to go across the line flying dunny first. I know it'll take a bit of an effort because you'll have to hurl yourself back like this as you approach the tape. But that's just a small token, and maybe if you look down the camera here, we can get a happy snap. And audience, can you please thank Maurice Greene?
Cheeks, Carter.
What time are we starting?
We shall start when everybody rolls in, like Tuesday night when they all started to drift in. I think I might go training tonight.
I don't.
No, I know you don't. You get down here early. That's what I like about you. We emphasise the training as a part of the selection process. You don't turn up, you may not get selected. So we really put them on wood. They're little men, basically. So bear with us. Okay, Josh, you go grab it, man. You're a winger. See Mahaka. Go, 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 go. On it. Faster than that. You can run faster than that. I saw you ran away from me on Tuesday night. Yeah, I was cranky on Tuesday night, wasn't I? Over, I said. Don't push your luck, son. I was like a mad old bull in the stables.
No, don't wear my patience, son.
I had troubles at training on Tuesday night with little Josh. Josh, are you doing this or not? If you're not doing it, go over and have a drink of water and stay over there. I'm serious. But tonight, we talked to him about different things, about discipline and being part of the team and the family. You want to be a good footballer, don't you?
Yeah.
I know that, I can see. And you know why? Because on Sunday when I came down here, I was fed up during the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. When I came down here on Sunday and saw your attitude about down here and you're all, we're here to win. Let's get together. That showed me that you're not silly. We need everybody we can. We keep fighting everybody, we'll have nobody. I'll be down here, John, and I'll be running on. All right? 2 old blokes, they'll kill us. He's going to turn himself around and he's going to support us for the rest of the year. And we've got a handshake on that, so that's really good, don't you think? Put it there, champ. All right? And I think you owe one for this fella here, too. All right? Thank you very much.
That's Wayne Mackey there with a few problems with, I think, the under-10s down there in the southeastern Seagulls. Of course, Wayne's the coach there, doing a tremendous job for rugby league, junior ranks there. Now, Roy, tonight in the audience we have members of the ferry drivers or ferry employees in the New South Wales on the harbour, Sydney Harbour. Don't they do a tremendous job,
Marvellous
Roy?
job. Well, I like you.
They've been a bit down in the dumps lately because the ferries have been crashing into wharves. It's got nothing to do with them.
No, well, like you, Aisha, sometimes wharves really get up my nose. I like to just get right onto the shore.
That's right.
Out of the ferry and you're on land.
Yes, that's right. That's right, yes. The ferry, you know, those wharves and jetties, they hold ferries back because I'd like to see a ferry that could come up off the water and drive around.
Oh, Army Duck style.
Army Duck style. Then we wouldn't have any of those problems. Now, some late footage just come in of a staggering Centenary of Federation celebration. This is out of this world, Roy. You know, back 100 years ago, of course, there was no internet. Speaking of the internet, no, there wasn't. The poll, go to your, you know, Monday dump, you know, site and vote in the poll about Fashion Week and so on. It's tremendous. But there was no internet, there was no telephone, there was no carrier pigeon. It's way before that. And all people could do to get in touch, you know, they might want to know the results of, say, race 4 at Randwick on a Saturday afternoon, was they had a device called Morse code.
Yes.
And Morse code used to go beep, 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 beep,
Yes,
beep.
here we are, here we can see.
Take us through it, Roy.
This was the reenactment that took place just this evening, HG. It united the Maritime Museum in Sydney with Perth in Western Australia.
Look how excited.
Exactly as they did 100 years ago to the very moment.
Yes.
And the marvellous people at the Maritime Museum, HG, have sent in to us here a Morse device.
Yes.
Which I am going to send a message.
Yes.
Sorry?
Just before you send your message, what was the message that was sent there from the Maritime Museum to Perth?
As nearly as I can tell, it was you're a bloody idiot. I hate your guts.
Get off the line. I've got some important information coming through.
Yeah.
Sorry, now to your message.
Yes, yes.
Who are you sending?
So I can send a message, HG, to Channel 7 in Melbourne.
Yes.
They're waiting there now. I can send the message much in this manner.
Can you do that while you have a drink of water?
Yes. That, I just spelled out there the letter F. That's you.
Yeah. Where are you going with this, Roy?
Well, it can go anywhere. But that's the magic of Morse code, a series of dots and dashes.
Right.
Brilliant idea.
Yes.
Brilliant. And still a lot of fun for kids today.
Is it, Roy?
A lot of fun. Kids can make their own Morse machines at home, and they can talk to mates in the next room.
Or around the world.
Around the world.
Yes. Gee.
I know Morse, it's going through the roof.
Now, speaking of something going through the roof, we've shown on this show before and in our work the steroid-driven bodybuilding, and you know, you won't get me knocking that because I love it.
I love it.
I'm a bodybuilding freak.
I am too.
Obviously the size of the bulk bears no relation to the size what's in the trunks, but now we found the reverse of that, and we have some natural bodybuilding. Roy, what's the nature of the comp here?
These series of people, HG, that are normal people who don't use any artificial means to bulk up. Just hard work, using their weightlifting devices and their ab devices and all those sorts of things, and these are the results, and I think you'll love them.
Here's the natural physique titles. Yes, welcome to the Camberwell Centre for the natural physique titles. We're up to the men's division, Roy.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this, HG, because this is without steroids. So this is pure, this is absolutely natural.
And first out, Big Dickie Iredale, Roy, a tremendous competitor. And look at that tat. That's going to work for him with the judges, isn't it?
Yes, I like a tattoo, HG, and I think everybody does. What Richard does have is beautiful symmetry and wonderful muscularity. Sure, it's not as bulky as your steroid users, and a lot of people prefer that steroid look. But I think this is a good look. He's lean. His trunks look good on him. He hasn't got what I call that unsightly crack crease. He's controlled that very well. And look at that spread of the dude as he turned around. Wasn't that beautiful?
Beautiful Eiffel there, and almost knocked over a couple of people in the nearby rows as he came around. He's really putting in here today. He's been down during the week, but look at this. He's really giving it his best. This is a bloke who works as a natural health practitioner, and he knows his way around the body.
Around the body, you're right, actually. This bloke, who's it?
Philip Govan.
Yeah, a little bit more nuggety. You'd call him more nuggety, wouldn't you?
He's described as the golden nugget out of Ballarat. He's a lively customer, and he's brought a little bit of old-fashioned, what I call the European style to him.
He has, hasn't he? And he's an electrician, I believe.
And you can see what I mean when you see these natural bodybuilders. Look how much is in the bag downstairs, Roy.
That's
There's so much more than that steroid abusing crowd.
There's that unsightly crack crease that I was talking about earlier, HG. Doesn't that detract? Because all you can look at is the crack crease.
It's the crease of the crack.
Yes, it doesn't matter how good the work is upstairs or below it.
I've only got eyes for the crease.
Yeah.
And of course,
He just makes himself as ordinary.
does he? He does. Philip's really wowing the crowd now. He's down on one knee there. He's showing off what he's got upstairs. And I think that the work with the shoulder blading style of underpant is going to pay for him with the judges. I think they looked at the natural spot. Here out he comes, Alex Ensel, and one of the great bodybuilders in the natural ranks, the natural bodybuilding ranks. He just got into the sport to keep fit, Roy, as many Australians are doing now.
He did, and it does appeal to the older set, this style of natural bodybuilding. And the older set look good, don't they?
They do, and he's brought a little bit of Eastern magic to it too, I think, in the soundtrack and in his poses. Very contemplative poses. He gets into them and hangs on to them for a long time.
In complete sympathy with the music too, HG. He's listening to his music, and that's good. And he looks good, doesn't he?
He looks very good. Roy, look at that work. He's doing a little bit of body popping there.
Oh, look at that, the control of that muscle.
It's Eastern yoga come to life here.
So lithe, isn't he? Lithe and yet muscular, and wonderful symmetry and good colour.
Good colour, Roy. And,
oh, look at that.
He's saying, I'm here, I'm competing, I'm laying down the gauntlet.
Oh, the strength.
Pure strength there. And
beautiful pose.
Yes, that's very good.
Now, let's see, look at the crack crease.
And there's a beautiful line there where the paint hasn't gone underneath the shoulder blade.
That's right.
Downstairs. But take nothing away from him. He's really putting in. And he's not afraid to put it about and show what he's got, right?
No, that's right, because he's got so much. He's got the hunch, he's got the... he can make his neck disappear completely. And look at that pumped up look.
That's tremendous.
Here's an old bloke really pumped up. Oh!
Slaps the hands together and brings that pose into a final kiss. That's beautiful, Roy.
Really
tremendous.
Thought through.
Very, very happy. And here we go to the placings, Roy. Third, I think it'll be interesting because I've got it, basically I've got Alex Ensel as third.
Yeah, the old bloke.
Yes. And then we skip over second and go to first. Yeah. And who gets first, Roy?
I think it's Richard Iredale, as I saw it. The bloke on the left. Yes. He's got the shape. He looks... See, the other bloke looks stupidly nuggety, doesn't he?
He does.
The other bloke looks really ordinary, as if he's just coming off the street.
Found his way upstairs with his underpants on.
Just had the right underpants that day.
That's right. Tremendous body off, though. As good as anything I've seen, I think, Roy.
I'd agree with you, HG. I think it's been a tremendous night and a real shot in the arm for natural bodybuilding, making your steroid abusers really look stupid.
I could look at that all night and not tire of it. Roy, it was tremendous camera work on that. Did you notice how every head was chopped off at about this level here? I don't know how they do that. It's just out of this world.
Well, the head's not important.
No, you're right.
You know, because the head's just silly.
Yeah, it's just in the way.
In the way, yeah.
There'll be more dump right after this.
to combat an increase in roadside rubbish. The Keep Australia Beautiful Council estimates that 131 items of litter exist for every 400 metres of state highway. With the threat of fines still not completely effective, they've engineered a new education program to be trialled in Bathurst.
And the real purpose of this campaign that we're trialling in Bathurst is to persuade people not to do it.
The Great File Lap was much more than just a racehorse. He was a symbol of Australian hope and pride. Now a New South Wales community is set to honour the File Lap legend by establishing a museum. Armidale has always had an affiliation with the mighty File Lap. Jockey Jack Baker, for years a regular at the Armidale track, was the first to ride the giant chestnut to a win. Now local historians and race lovers alike plan to immortalise one of racing's gentlemen by transforming his house into a museum.
Those people that'd be keen on it would make it such an attraction that it'd be pretty hard to turn up.
A magical display of military aviation history has taken to the skies of southwestern New South Wales. Enthusiasts from all over the state gathered to recreate the heroics of the great aviators from the safety of the ground. The Heikel 219 was a lethal German night fighter that guarded the sky over Berlin at the end of the Second World War. This one was brought back to life by model maker Brian Johnston.
I guess in our game we look for something we call wow factor, and I flick through a lot of magazines looking at different aircraft, and the ones that jump out at you and probably are a bit more of a challenge to build are the ones that I go for.
Gary Sunderland, on the other hand, was captivated by the darling of the Australian Flying Corps No. 1 Battalion, the Sopwith Camel.
This particular aeroplane, of course, is sort of jumped out of the magazine and said, build me.
The New South Wales State Award for Yarn Spinning has been won by a bush poet from Minmi in the Hunter District.
Able to expound, I suppose you call it, on the old town that I live in here, Midmai. I was able to talk about our world-renowned watering hole, the old Midmai pub, the big Hexham Grey mozzies, and a tree burl that I've got there, what we call wooden tit and maiden.
And this is the sort of form that impressed the judges and secured the coveted title.
Well, I've gathered me yarns and stories from old Minmai and further beyond. They're just part of our great Aussie culture, I hope shall always live on. Most of the same theme in common, they're based on life's humorous fine thread. If you can't have a laugh when you're living, you've got no flaming chance when you're dead.
And finally, the Eastern Indicator wool price of 805 cents per kilo is slightly down on last week's close. And the May delivery price for Australian standard hard wheat is US $162.50 per tonne, which is also slightly softer than last week. That's this week's news from rural and regional Australia. I'm Bob Carr, Premier of New South Wales.
Not too much. Now, Bob, have you been asked, I know last year you spoke to the New South Wales Blues at some stage in their rugby league campaign against the Queensland Maroons. Have you been run by Coach Pearce already? If you have, what will be the theme of the spray to the boys before the second Origin match at Stadium Australia?
Well, last year it worked pretty well. I spoke about The Gladiator, the movie The Gladiator. I said they are our gladiators going out of the Colosseum. Yes. On behalf of the... Well, it seemed to work.
Incredible. They understood the term gladiator and Colosseum.
They've seen the movie. They had seen the movie.
Yes. And who in particular did you see as the Russell Crowe of the side?
I didn't want to choose.
No. Well, that is a telling point there. They're all Russell Crowes.
Yeah.
They're Russells. Now, just changing the subject, but very similar time, of course. You know, politics then, not too different from politics now. Who leaked the memo and why last week?
Well, that is the question, not what the memo said, but who leaked it. Yes. I think you're quite perceptive to highlight that question.
Yes.
Well, I'd say the Prime Minister leaked it.
I think the Prime Minister leaked it.
Yes. Has the Prime Minister said he hasn't leaked it yet?
I don't think he's been put on the spot, but there are 2 copies.
Yes.
Now, look, the MCA's... the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney is causing a bit of problem for the city. Have you ever been and had a look at what they've got in there at the moment?
Yes, I've opened a few of their shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time I go down there seems to be an exhibition of... Look, I love the place, don't get me wrong. I love going in there because I love seeing what contemporary art is all about. But if I see another set of blood-stained Bulgarian nails, I'll have to scream. Honestly, Bob. You've got to buy them some pictures. You've got to start at the beginning. A building's no bloody good. You know, it's a $100 million solution for a $3 problem. Pictures that they can put in there. I mean, is that too hard for the state, for the city of Sydney to get their heads around?
Well, I think you've got a strong case. We'll continue to work it through. I've said before that I favour the retention of the existing building.
Yes, good.
Frank Sartor really implored me to give him some time to put these designs out there and get a public response. So we'll listen to what the people say. But if you're asking me what my prejudice is, it's to retain the existing building. It says something about the history of this place.
That's so true. That the architecture was very ordinary in a particular period. Would that be what it's telling us, Bob?
Yeah, partly.
And so we've got to live with that for like the Carr Expressway, you know?
No, the time will come when the Carr Expressway will go, but I can't ask the people to put up the $500 million or so.
How about a lottery to get it down?
There are bigger priorities, yes. HG. There are bigger priorities.
Bob, you'd be one of the very few premiers that's ever existed in this country, in any state, who hasn't had an opposition. Now, if you were to advise any young people out there who want to get into politics maybe and create an opposition, what would be your advice? How can we... I feel it'd be great if we could have an opposition in this state. I mean, have you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, the sad truth is that your own opposition, I mean, we've all got a potential to make mistakes, and when we make mistakes, we become the opposition.
So you'll be getting on to Johnny Aquilina and giving him the bullet tomorrow morning?
No. But I think the key question for a government, I mean, the key challenge for a government is to stay in touch and to hear what the people are saying.
Well, the people are saying Johnny Aquilina is incompetent.
I read a poll in the Telegraph today, and 14 people voted, 7 for and 7 against.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitive.
You'll be wrestling with that tonight, won't you?
Is it true?
As good a guide as any.
No, is it true? Just changing the subject completely. Going back to Sir Henry Parkes. When Sir Henry Parkes was in office all those years ago, is it true that he had a dumb waiter put in so that women could be slipped up to him at his convenience? Is that true?
I think we can assume the stories about Henry Parkes are true.
He was a mad, rootin'-tootin'...
Federationist.
Federationist, that's right, yeah.
And is the dumbwaiter still there?
I'm not in that office. That office is occupied by someone else. There's no dumbwaiter in my office.
Right.
Occupied by John Aquilina.
That's right.
Now, tomorrow, the big day. 100 years on. Exhibition buildings, or exhibition building in Melbourne.
Yeah.
You'll be there along with all the other dignitaries. You must be looking forward to a couple of hours of wasting your time. You're going to be getting on with solving the problems of this state and the MCA and their lack of pictures and the really big issues and that problem of Aquilina 7 for, 7 against. What do I do? But in other words, you'll be down there escaping from the pressures of office.
It is 100 years of this country. This country has been there 100 years as a nation state. There is something to celebrate in that.
There is. There is.
But surely, to goodness, we could have a different sort of event. I mean, what's wrong with the three-legged race? You know, around the big house down Canberra way.
What are we going to see tomorrow? Is it a reenactment, Bob? Is that what we're going to see? Is the Prime Minister going to play the role of Barton and you'll each be assigned other roles?
I'd be George Reed.
You'll be George Reed?
Yeah. I think we've got to keep that as a surprise for the audience. But I mean, this country's lasted 100 years. It's lasted as a democracy. We've held a continent as a democracy. I think there's something to celebrate in that.
Yes, yes. But it sounds to me as though you're hedging the bet about whether this is the best way to do it.
I think the best way to do it is to reflect on the Australian achievement.
Yes.
And that's something that's taking place in our schools, and it's part of our life. I mean,
Is this part of the achievement?
That's magnificent, isn't it?
I don't think we endorsed this, did we?
It's fun.
Now, Fashion Week, that's a lot of fun too, isn't it, Bob?
Are you going to be getting along to Fashion Week?
I normally go. I can't make it this year. I know I heard your comments earlier on the fashion parade. It brings... The point about Fashion Week is that it brings buyers and writers from the fashion magazines and from the department stores all around the world into Sydney.
Yeah.
And we reckon it's worth tens of millions for local fashion houses, for designers and manufacturers. It really does work. It gets them sales. It gets them products put into Saks Fifth Avenue and publicised in the world's fashion journals.
It's tremendous.
Well, I think our fashion is up there, best in the world.
Best in the world, easily the best in the world.
Best in the world.
And has been for some time. And we'd like you to take this along on behalf of the Dump to Fashion Week. Wear it proudly on your belt buckle and just stand there with the coat apart and try and suggest they look down there, so to speak. And I think you'll cause a lot of comment when you turn up at Fashion Week with that.
Certainly will.
And as you have a happy snap, audience, can you please thank the Premier of New South Wales, Mr. Bob Carr?
Next.
The Purple Dumpster Award, you can get this badge by doing community service. The Brown Dumpster Award is for contribution to sewerage. And the White Dumpster Award, HG, goes out for someone who assists in world peace.
Yes.
So they are the 5 categories.
How do kids earn them?
HG, they go to the internet site and they can get the rules.
Yes.
They need to, for example, with the trees, with the green dumpster, to earn that patch, all you need to do is plant 5 native trees and maintain them. And go to a Justice of the Peace who will sign a stat deck to the effect that you've done this. And you will then have a patch that you can wear.
Yes.
And once you've earned all 5 patches...
What happens?
You become a Queen's Federation dumpster.
Wow. It's a simple plan, but
And you earn the belt.
the flapping dunny belt buckle.
belt that Bob Carr just took.
Stole. Anyway, one of those.
Yes.
For your belt, for your pants.
That's
so you've got the badges all up here and that holding the trousers
Yes.
up. It's tremendous.
It's a very exciting scheme.
Exciting is the word, right?
Yes.
It's out of
It's
this world.
It's out of bed. Well, can I do something now?
Right.
I've got to get out and plant some trees and clear the water and clear out some pipes and send a letter to
George W. Bush. With my Mid-East solution.
Yes.
Yes, that'll scare him.
Yes. And then go to your JP. You usually find a JP at the post office or a chemist shop, somewhere like that.
Betting shop, TAB.
Yeah.
And where's this site again, Roy? The Monday Dump.
It's the Monday Dump, .i7.com.au.
Yes. Now,
Follow the links.
people have been busy, of course. People have been... Oh, before we go to the emails, let's go to the internet poll. Speaking of...
Yes, Australian Fashion Week, A, makes us proud as a punch, 4%. B is a magnet for international glamour, 59%.
Wow.
C gets the blood hot in the trouser, 31%. And D is a major embarrassment, only 6%.
Yes.
So the organisers are doing the right thing.
Yes, and we'll...
It's a major international glamour. It's a magnet.
Yes.
Everyone's coming here.
Yes, and if you've got a trouser snake and a snake, bring them along as well, because they'll love it, as we saw earlier. Now, Roy, emails that have come in while the show's been on air, what have you got?
Well, I've got one here, HG. It says, this comes from Melbourne, from Craig in Melbourne. Can you plug auditions for a production of Camelot? I'm sure it could work in... Info can be found at www.babira.org.au, and they're looking to cast King Arthur, Guinevere, Sir Lancelot and Mordred. Camelot's a really good musical, isn't it?
It's very
lovely.
Australian.
Yes, they probably set it in Australia.
And it speaks to all ages.
It does. It does.
I've got one here from Jodie McGregor. Jodie says, you mentioned of legalising cockfighting and bear baiting to halt these dangerous underground sports that are plaguing Australia. She thinks it's a good idea. She'd like to see good Australian bear baiting brought to more people's attention. Most people don't realise how ferocious koala bears can be. Jodie writes from Brisbane, and she finally, I'd like to also see cockfighting legalised so that we all have more opportunities to use the word cock in day-to-day conversation. Beautiful idea. She's thought that through. Yes.
Yes. Well, yes. Well, if cockfight... Well, because you could talk about a terrific cock you saw the other night and that sort of stuff. And there'd be nothing lewd or smutty about it. Simon Martin of Mount Riverview asks, can you please say the name Sarfraz Nawaz on air? He was a great Pakistani fast bowler. Sarfraz Nawaz.
Sarfraz Nawaz.
He was. He had that sort of ramrod up the date sort of style, and he was said to have invented reverse swing.
Is that right?
Yes, the great Sarfraz Nawaz. What a character he was.
Did he get the Nobel Peace Prize for cricket?
I believe he did. Yes. I believe he did.
Here's another one in very small writing from Scott Horton, who writes from Melbourne. He says, could we mention that it's Casino Beef Week next week?
It is too.
It's a tremendous card. They've got the crowning of Miss Casino Beef Week Queen.
Yes.
So Miss Casino Beef Week Queen. I'm not sure what is involved in that, but it's bound to be good. Beef Carcass Expo and Seminar. That's my favourite. That's set up on the Casino Oval, and you can go along and follow the stages of slaughtering from live at one end right through to a rump steak.
To the barbecue at the end.
That's right. And you can get very, very hands-on, and that's a good one if you're a school teacher in the area and want something for the kiddies to do for a few hours. They'll have the time of their life.
Oh, it's fun. Kids get involved.
They can.
Because you can get a vela come out on the flop straight onto a
hot plate.
Sizzling hot plate.
That's right. Yes. Very beautiful.
The Casino Beef Week.
You got one final one there, Rob?
Personally, this is from Alan in Kingsbury. Personally, I don't think there's enough nudity in Aussie art. Being nude is being Australian. That's so true, isn't it?
Is that his thesis?
That's his thesis. Being nude is being Australian. And what a lovely note to end the program on this evening.
It is indeed. We'd like to obviously to thank Maurice Greene and the Premier, Bob Carr, and wish you all the very best. Until we meet again, same time, same channel next week for another Monday Dump. See you then. Bye.